this is Liz Coley. Welcome back to Undercover Reading. We're reading The Captain's Kid, Chapter 7, A Birthday to Remember. It's very memorable so far. Part 5. Brandon and Audrey are laying a trap for River Swift. I expected River Swift back any moment, surprised he hadn't come in halfway through our self-rescue attempt. Now time stopped completely as I held a careful perch on the ceiling above the door. Getting up there and flattening out had been a major accomplishment. "How are you doing?" Audrey called from the bedroom. I inhaled very carefully so I wouldn't bounce. "Hey, they don't call me Spidey for nothing," I called back. "You're supposed to be asleep, so shh." The door slid open, and I cut off mid-shush. River Swift glided through the doorway with a pair of trays. The food jostled dangerously in the lack of gravity. He was clueless about the rules. "I've got some Hey, where are you? I told you to stay put." That was Audrey's cue. "What happened? Where am I?" she called dramatically. "Oh, Brandon, what's wrong with you? You're bleeding everywhere." She added a baritone groan for effect. River Swift took a quick step toward the bedroom. Too quick. He lost his footing, knees heading forward, head left behind. I seized the moment I'd been waiting for, pushed off the ceiling, hard with my feet aimed straight at his head. River Swift smacked the floor, then bounced into a mid-air spin. 2 food trays went flying, liquid droplets splattering everywhere like flying grapes. I snatched a tray from the air, levered off the floor like a rocket, and whacked River Swift's head as it came near. He curled around himself, retching, the air filled with nasty-smelling globules. Audrey ricocheted from the bedroom doorway with a crazed war cry straight over the coffee table and into River Swift. He crashed headfirst into the wall and rebounded completely limp. "Nice move, huh?" she commented. "What's all this mess?" "Shut your mouth," I ordered. "Now, wait a minute, Buster. Who do you think you're It's vomit. Close your mouth." she said between clamped lips. She offered me a soggy length of cord and mimed tying up our captive before he woke up. That rope didn't have a good history of reliability. What else could we use? I pulled off my long socks and tied River Swift's hands behind his back. Then I freed Audrey and confiscated her socks to bind his feet. Together we steered him over to the sofa and tethered him to the legs, all without a word, while junk still spun through the air. Finally safe, we perched lightly on the opposite sofa, avoiding the dark wet spots, and waited. Audrey leaned against me, which unfortunately pushed me farther away. Teeth together, she asked, "Are you going to call security?" "Mm-hmm." Just savoring the moment. Victory was sweet. "Okay." I tapped my watch comm to activate voice mode. "Blasted, he's cut me off again." I wish I knew how he did it. "You and your criminal tendencies," Audrey commented. I don't have it." "He does." I fished in River Swift's pocket and came up with nail clippers, some kind of animal claw on a leather thong, and her watch comm, which was disabled. Dang, he was paranoid and careful and thorough. I moved to the wall screen. Probably too much to hope this works. The bedroom desk comps were out as well. Too bad he wasn't on our team. He was good. "Tell you what, Audrey, you go for help and I'll guard him." She glanced nervously at the door. "Why don't we both go? He looks helpless." "So did we, if you'll recall, when he left us alone. Look at us now." Audrey gave me a radiant smile. "That's because you're brilliant." I blushed. "He's well endowed in the brains department. I'm not giving him a chance to regroup." She squeezed my hand. "Okay, I'm going to go get help and get changed. But be careful if he wakes up." "Count on it." She floated out the door barefoot, her beautiful hair trailing behind her, full of food particles and who knows what else. I settled onto my heels to wait. Within 5 minutes, River Swift moaned and cracked open his eyes. One quick swivel took in the state of the room. "Where's the girl?" he asked. "She's gone to get the real security," he grunted. I perched at attention, watching him examine the socks binding his feet. He tensed against them and relaxed. He redoubled his effort, gathered his strength, but nothing moved except him. His thrashing motions sent him floating off the couch and into mid-air. His face turned chalky gray. "You aren't very good at free fall," I commented. "You should have practiced that." I pushed him gently back to the couch while he glared. "You know, you're a very violent man." River Swift shook his head in denial. That's not so. I never directly hurt you or your father. Everything was planned to frighten you into abandoning the mission. What about the bomb at launch? I assume that was yours? That was supposed to disable the Hawking Gates drive so you couldn't make transition. Not according to what Dad had told me. What about the acid? I asked. He lowered his eyes. A superficial wound. Well, it hurt like heck. What about Luna? I didn't, he began, and then he thought better of it. His lips tightened. You didn't? Is Whitesinger in on this too? Riverswift closed his eyes and breathed slowly. No answer. I shrugged. Fine. I'll just assume he is. What about Masuna? The ambassador, I mean. Masuna? Riverswift's eyes popped open. Of course not. Your lizard lady is the problem. I held myself from slapping him. Don't call her that. She's human and a great woman. She's like family. Riverswift pulled a disgusted face, lips curling, nose wrinkling. Not my family. Not in 1,000 years. He spat into the air. The glob hung there above him. The last dot connected, and the picture became obvious. That's what all this is about. No matter what she negotiated with your elders, your faction doesn't want the Sequayunas to reunite with the tribe, all because they look different. That's pure prejudice. He growled. They don't just look different, they are different. Physically, spiritually, morally. His voice tightened in fury. They abandoned the sacred lands. They abandoned the bodies the Creator gave them. Double sacrilege. They abandoned the places where our ancestors' spirits speak. They are not Diné, no longer, and they may not live among us. I hunkered down on my knees, now dangerously close to the blood-dark face. I do not appreciate your methods, and I deplore your narrow-minded, idiotic reasoning. But the bottom line is, I agree with you. They should not return. His eyes narrowed, calm now and steady. Explain. It's been 100 years. As you said, they severed their relationship to the tribe. They have no attachment to the earth, no memory of it in anyone living. And if they return, their entire culture will be absorbed and lost. On top of all that, there are a lot of innocent children who shouldn't have to grow up facing narrow-minded prejudice and ill treatment from people like you. I was yelling by the time I reached my last point. Riverswift watched me in silence, but I could feel the recalibration whirling in his brain. He was trying to figure an angle. I sobered up and said calmly, I don't know what happens to criminals on a starship, whether you will accidentally fall out of an airlock or be imprisoned somewhere. His calm wobbled at the word airlock. I continued, here's how I figure it. If they let you live, you are going to help me figure this out. Between the two of us, we have to solve the Sequayunos' problems. Because like it or not, they're your cousins. And I'm going to get you to see them as fellow humans, somehow. Abruptly, my balance changed. Riverswift plunged into the couch cushion, and I fell on my butt. Gravity's on. There was a clatter at the door, and the words "security override" sounded. 3 armed officers entered the room and absorbed the situation at a glance. Nice work, Mr. Webb, sir, the shortest one said. We'll take it from here. If unhurt, you're to report immediately to the captain. Yep, I'm fine, I said, although my shoulder ached and I had a new scab on my forehead. As the other 2 men hauled Riverswift to his feet by the armpits, he looked frantically to the 3rd man. Please, he squeezed out, please don't take me to the airlock. I'll cooperate. Airlock? The leader repeated. Been watching too many action vids? The Amarin shot me a pointed look. I was told you sometimes space your prisoners. The leader rolled his eyes. What do you think we are, uncivilized? We're off to the brig. You need to clean up before interrogation. We had a brig, huh? I followed them all out. Riverswift hung limply from the armpits as he was dragged along. I asked, couldn't you untie his feet? I'm sure he'd rather walk. Sorry, kid, we can't take chances. This here's a dangerous and desperate man. Somehow, in spite of all the pain, terror, and annoyance he'd caused me, I found myself feeling sorry for the man, even as an evil conspirator. That's the end of that section. Please come back.